There's a city in Asia with a metro system longer than New York and London combined, 5G everywhere, gigabit internet for $12 a month, plus a cost of living that makes Bangkok look expensive. It's not Singapore, it's not Tokyo, it's actually not even on most people's radar. I'm talking about Chengdu, which is a city in southwest China. Chengdu is a city of 21 million people, and you can live there for a fraction of what you'd spend in the typical digital nomad hubs. But this isn't some rough frontier town. It's China's fourth largest city, which has Fortune 500 offices, world-class hospitals, and infrastructure that rivals Singapore, but with prices closer to Vietnam. So let me break down the real numbers, the catches nobody mentions, and who this city actually makes sense for. First up, cost of living. A nice one bedroom in the city center runs $450 to $600 a month, half of what you'd pay in Shanghai. And these aren't dumpy apartments, we're talking modern high rises with pools, gyms, and air filtration, which matters here because the winter air quality can get rough. If you want more space, you can find a 3-bedroom in the old expat neighborhood for under $800. For reference, this would be very difficult to find anywhere in Southeast Asia right now. The same apartment in Bangkok's expat districts costs $700 to $900. In Lisbon, you're over $2,500. In San Francisco, will run you north of $5,000. Daily expenses are where it gets wild. A real meal at a local spot costs $7 to $12. Street food is under $3. In Chengdu, street food is legitimately some of the best in the world. If you're willing to eat local and take the metro, you can live on under $1,000 a month. Scale up to a comfortable expat lifestyle with dining out in a nice apartment, and you're still only at $1,500 to $2,000. Okay, so the prices are great, but the harder part is actually getting in. The big news is something called the K visa. China launched this in October specifically to poach STEM talent from the US. If you have a bachelor's degree in science, tech, engineering, or math, you can now enter China without a job offer. No employer sponsorship. You just apply and go. That's a huge shift. The old system required a signed contract before you could even start the visa process. This opens the door for visitors to test the waters first. For everyone else, you're looking at the traditional work permit system. It's tiered. Class A is for high earners, roughly $7,000 a month or more. Class B requires a degree plus 2 years of experience. Class C is for unskilled labor, and they almost never approve foreigners for it. If you just want to scout the city first, it depends on your passport. If you're from Germany, France, Australia, Japan, or most of the EU, you can enter China visa-free for up to 30 days. No application, no transit requirement. This policy runs through the end of 2026. If you're American, British, or Canadian, you don't get the 30-day option, but you do qualify for the 240-hour transit visa, which gives you 10 days. The catch is you need to be traveling to a third country, so you can't fly in from the US and back to the US, but fly from, let's say, LA to Chengdu to Tokyo. All right, now let's talk about the firewall. Google, YouTube, Instagram, and WhatsApp are all blocked, and this is a part of everyday life. However, you can bypass this with a VPN. ExpressVPN and Astral are the most reliable right now and cost $20 to $30 a month. Also, a lot of expats keep a foreign eSIM as backup, which bypasses the firewall completely but costs more. The bigger adjustment is the app ecosystem. Cash is basically dead in urban China. Credit cards don't work most places. Everything runs through WeChat and Alipay. Food delivery, taxis, paying bills, even making friends. If you can't adapt to that, daily life gets hard. Here's something most people miss, the tax angle. China offers expats big deductions on housing, kids' education, language classes, and flights home. These aren't capped at some fixed amount. They're based on actual expenses. For a family with kids in international school, that can mean $20,000 to $30,000 in annual tax savings. However, this policy expires at the end of 2027. Move in 2026, and you get maybe 2 years of benefits before things potentially change. There's also the 6-year rule, which states that if you live in China for 6 consecutive years without a trip longer than 30 days, you become liable for taxation on your foreign income. Anyone with income outside China needs to plan around this. Beyond the numbers, let's talk about what it's actually like to live here, the stuff that doesn't show up in spreadsheets. Chengdu is famous for something called Man Sheng Huo. It means slow life, and it's real. People here actually prioritize enjoying themselves, sitting in tea houses for hours, doing business over hot pot. There's less of that anxious hustle you feel in bigger Chinese cities like Shanghai or Shenzhen. The food is incredible. Chengdu is the capital of Sichuan province, and Sichuan cuisine is one of China's great culinary traditions. The city is actually a UNESCO city of gastronomy. The signature flavor is mala, which means numbing and spicy. Takes some adjustment, But once you're used to it, you're eating like royalty for almost nothing. Safety is exceptional. Violent crime basically doesn't exist. You can walk anywhere at any hour. However, there is a trade off, which is surveillance. In China, cameras with facial recognition technology are everywhere. You can also assume everything through Chinese apps is logged. Now, I have to be honest with you about the downsides. Firstly, air quality. Chengdu is in a basin surrounded by mountains. In winter, pollution gets trapped. PM 2.5 regularly hits 150 to 200, which is unhealthy. The sky goes gray for weeks. If you have respiratory issues or struggle with seasonal depression, this is serious. Also, the language problem is harder than you'd expect. The local dialect is different from standard Mandarin. Even if you've studied Chinese, street conversation can be tough. Integration is genuinely difficult. The systems here aren't built for foreigners. Banking, legal stuff, daily bureaucracy. It all runs on Chinese ID numbers. You'll hit friction constantly, and you'll always be visibly foreign in a way that creates distance. For families, international schools are the budget killer. 22 to 39,000 per kid per year. 2 children and you're spending 40 to 80,000 on education alone. That erases your cost of living savings completely. So when considering the pros and the cons, who does Chengdu actually make sense for? If you're in STEM and qualify for the K visa, this could be a strong move. High local salaries, plus tax benefits, plus cheap living equals a savings rate that might beat Silicon Valley. You're trading certain freedoms, but you're building wealth faster. If you're a solo nomad who can handle VPN hassles and doesn't need English everywhere, Chengdu offers genuine luxury for $1,500 a month. Better value than the saturated hubs like Chiang Mai or Bali. If you're teaching English and want adventure, the salary to cost ratio here is among the best in China. But if you're a family without employer-covered tuition, the math falls apart. Similarly, if you have breathing issues, winter will be a problem. Or if your work needs constant access to Google or real-time video calls with Western clients, the firewall friction might be a deal breaker. Here's the bottom line. Chengdu is the most livable megacity in China. If you can accept its constraints, you have futuristic infrastructure, incredible food, prices that seem almost fake compared to the West. The K visa and tax benefits make the next 2 years an especially interesting window. But you have to go in clear-eyed. The arbitrage isn't just about cheap rent. It's about trading certain conveniences for economic upside and quality of life. For the right person, that trade makes a lot of sense. If this was helpful, drop a comment with any questions. My full research report with all the sources is linked in the description. See you in the next one.